welcome to Payback. I hope you liked the little video package we put together, and we're going to jump straight in to the pay-per-view of a dark match. And it was just a simple dark match because I needed to put Payback on the card against R-Truth. It's a pre-show match even, but it's not important. I just needed to. They were the only two main guys, didn't have anything lined up for the show, so we just threw them in a match. For the main show, we have Vince McMahon opening the show, hyping up the Seth Rollins John Cena SmackDown Heavyweight Championship match. He also brings up the fact that Daniel Bryan will be returning to the ring against Bray Wyatt, and that there will be an announcement to who the new GM alongside Edge is going to be, and each GM on all three shows is going to have to pick a protege style wrestler that they are going to want to show the ropes. A bit like what the NXT did when they took the rookies. And Edge will be making his pick tonight. It's a good rating of 77. Edge has also gone on to announce the signing of two brilliant athletes in John Morrison and Jay Lethal. We just want to see what these two can do on the show. They should add some class to the face side of the roster because it's very heavy with the heels on this show. So I didn't want to put them in matches on this pay-per-view. I'm saving them for the next pay-per-view, but I just wanted to have them introduced. So here we are. And with the first match, which we weren't expecting to be very good, again, this is Bayley and Asuka versus Naomi and Tamina in the New Girls on the Block storyline, where Asuka and Bayley have obviously come from NXT and are getting bullied by the so-called experienced divas or women. And, well, we need these two pushed to the next level. These two will be going as soon as I can get rid of them. But terrible rating, really. But that's why it's early on in the show. Daniel Bryan gives a promo leading up to his Wyatt match, explaining how he's going to beat Bray Wyatt once and for all and finish off the Demon. Rusev cuts his promo with his open challenge that he promised on SmackDown, and he will be annihilating any opponent that gets in his way. And it is Goldust that accepts the challenge, even though it's R-Truth doing all the talking, saying that he wants to see him win the Hardcore title live at the Elimination Chamber. This was basically just to play on the little gimmick that R-Truth is doing, where he's just making up what pay-per-view he's on, and it worked quite well. It's a simple match that we're going to have next, where Rusev gets an easy win. I do have plans for who Rusev will be going up against, but I'll save that for a later date. But Goldust won't be around much longer because his age is taking a lot on ratings out of him. As we can see, he's just not as good as he used to be. However much he still actually has it in the real wrestling world, this game doesn't give him any credit. So we'll move on to the next segment, where Edge introduces his protege as Adam Cole, where we get to see whether he can make this guy the star everybody thinks he really is on the indie scene. So, not the best rating, but it's going to be a builder. We'll see where we can go with this Adam Cole storyline. Adam Cole gets a first match against Damien Sandow, and this is basically just it was the closest to a jobber I had was Damien Sandow on the heels, so I just needed him to lose, and he will enter into the Chosen One storyline later down the line, probably starting SmackDown. John Cena cuts his promo about how he's going to beat Seth Rollins in the title match tonight. Simple, really. The women's title match between Charlotte and Becky gets a poor rating of only 50. I was expecting a little bit more from these two. I'm not sure why, but it's a bit disappointing, really. I needed Charlotte to have a win, Becky was the best choice because she probably will be a star, but she's not quite ready to have the title yet. Edge finds Paige, Sasha Banks and Nikki Bella arguing about who should face Charlotte next after her latest title defense, and books a three-way match on SmackDown to decide who will be the new #1 contender. So we'll just book this in now for SmackDown. It seems like a pretty easy sort of match to put in, and we did have a 5-way previously between them all, but we need to push one of these, and I'm torn between two. We'll see how the show goes for those two. This Apollo Crews versus Baron Corbin. Again, this is just to try and push these two up a little bit. They both don't really have anyone they can truly face. Apollo Crews could fall into the Chosen One storyline, and that Baron Corbin needs some faces to squash, which will be joining the roster very soon, so we'll see what we can do with either of these two. The Rock has turned up and has announced that he will be having an open challenge at every single pay-per-view starting from tonight, and Sheamus is the man who accepts the challenge, threatening to send him back to Hollywood once and for all. I'm not sure why that gets a poor rating for The Rock. He is, well, I don't know, but an 80 rating for the show. The segment is good. We'll move on to the match. A 73 between these two. Disappointing, but The Rock got quite a poor rating of 80. But still, this is going to be just a glorified gimmicky type thing for every pay-per-view where we had a bit of star power by having The Rock face. It may not always be main eventers, it may be up-and-comers, just to try and rub a bit of popularity off to these other guys. And the matches can be set through the shows itself, so a Raw or a Shockwave or a SmackDown can put their case forward. I will probably not have The Rock appear on the 5 shows that they're all 3 brands taking part in though. So this will be a good one to see where, or who we can put The Rock against to have some hyped up matches. Video shows Finn Balor. I'm still teasing his debut. I'm annoyed that he's set as a heel on this. I've never actually seen him as a heel in his NXT time. So I've just got to build this up, and I have a plan in mind for this, but we'll wait to see where this ends up going. Edge introduces that his new GM partner is going to be none other than Mick Foley. Mick Foley's delighted to be back in the ring, and he will pick his protege on SmackDown. Have a nice day. Every show has a partnership. I know most of them are heel, face, and face, but I feel Mick Foley works with Edge really well. So this is going to be going forward for a while to see how these two can have a few stints together. We're moving on to the Chosen One storylines here, where Mark Henry has been getting taken out of him by bad news, Cody Rhodes and Damien Sandow. And he finds the Big Show to team up in a tag team match, obviously. But Drew McIntyre debuts the original Chosen One as the true leader of the group to distract Mark Henry for an easy win. This is probably going to make Mark Henry angry. Seth Rollins cuts a promo on John Cena. A bit like what before with John Cena on Rollins, just hyping the match a bit more. Bray Wyatt brings his family down to the ring, or talks about his family before he enters up this match with Daniel Bryan. Gets terrible rating, but I think it's mainly because of the other 3 involved. Daniel Bryan defeats Bray Wyatt by submission to become a future #1 contender. The two had a great match. 78 is good for the second best main event of the night. which leads us straight into the World Heavyweight title match, where Seth Rollins defeats John Cena to become SmackDown World Heavyweight Champion. I wanted Seth Rollins to have this title. I feel we need a heel champion as we have Roman on Raw, and I'm still undecided on SmackDown. Oh, Shockwave. And I need a gimmick change for John Cena, and this is going to help lead towards his gimmick change, which isn't going to happen yet. And we end the show with Seth Rollins going completely overboard with a celebration and getting an 88 for that. So that ends the show. Let's see how well we did. We got an 82, which is very impressive for the show, which usually I rubbish at the pay-per-views, but this is a great rating. Just do some speeches. We'll go Seth Rollins. Praise for his great performance. Daniel Bryan. Also. As a good example. And we'll also give. Who shall we go? We'll go with Charlotte, because I need to give her some praise and make the speeches, please. And we'll return to the main. And we're back to the main screen, and whoa, look at that! I have some news. Well, he is injured. That Justin Liga is going to be a big name. Let's see how this got. The face mostly positive. That's quite good. Goldust has a booking complaint and its momentum. 8.25. I could only get it on network, so it's a bit disappointing. And we'll just see how this has boosted any of the storylines. For SmackDown, the chosen ones are up to 66. That has yet to happen. New guy on the blocks, still terrible. This is still terrible. The US title I haven't really got going yet. This was doing okay. It's very good for the world title picture, and Wyatt Time is doing quite well too. Let's just do creative, see who's hot. I even made that Roman Reigns top. Charlotte's doing very well, and that's it for the SmackDown lot, isn't it? Who is not hot? We have Goldust dying of momentum. Alicia Fox, Curtis Axel. She wasn't even on the last show, so not sure why. Everybody's angry about not being on the show, which is good. I'm just going to have a quick look at the contract situation. Whose contracts are up soonest? Road Dogg, Brock Lesnar, Darren Young. See, Tamina I'll probably let go. She's not really done much. Otherwise, they're all quite lengthy, these contracts that are left. It's a bit worrying. How long has Goldust got left before I can finally get rid of him? Nearly a year, so that's going to get a bit more difficult to get rid of some of these guys. But that's going to end it for the show. If you like Payback, go back to see what happens next time on Monday Night Raw, and I'll leave you to enjoy the rest of the shows on the internet. Goodbye.